Hi everyone, I thought I would do a quick video on how I choose my collage images. So I'm going to start with my focal images. And I keep all of my images in an Eagle Creek packet cube, which you could get at stores like the Container Store and Amazon and things like that. All of my focal images. My focal image, those are the main images on the page. I tend to use a lot of people, especially women. You could use text, abstract images, shapes, a favorite animal, anything that you want as your main image on the page. It does not have to be a person. Just want to stress that part. So when I go to start picking my images, what I'm looking for is a connection, a relation that I can feel when I go to pick these images, some sort of like clicking that I get within when I start picking through my images. So maybe it's like the expression on their face. Size doesn't matter, you know. I pick images that are really small, images that are really big. I just start by picking images that I feel I can relate to in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's the flow and the movement in the image itself. Maybe it's how they're holding their hands, how they're sitting, their attitude, the way the light hits their face, the clothes, the outfits, what they're wearing, what they're not wearing, the mood. Again, big with the hands. Maybe it's something in their eyes. Sometimes you don't even have to see their eyes. There's just something that it's, for some reason, it just kind of connects and resonates strongly with me. So I tend to use, like I said, a lot of people, especially women. I like images that I feel I relate to in some way, shape, or form. It usually is all about how I feel when I look at these images and if I can use them to represent me in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm going for. So those are just a few of my main images. Now, background papers. Your background papers are anything that you can rip up and glue down. So it could be handmade paper. Maybe it's some sort of book or magazine page and you like the shape of it. Maybe it's a pair of scissors, so some sort of kind of, some sort of object that, excuse me, resonates with you. Maybe it's the texture of a wall, a pile of rocks, books, text, colors. Happiness is one of my favorite magazines. I love looking through this for visual inspiration. But then again, I also find a lot of my images in used books, trips to the used bookstore on a regular basis. So I start by kind of just flipping through and I look for different things. Again, size doesn't matter. Anything that catches my eye. And I work entirely from this bag that you see me that you see me flipping through right now. So it could be stuff that later on I'm going to cut out. It could be stuff that I could paint in and change the color. It can be anything. So what I usually recommend doing is start by collecting. Okay, go through your stash, the stuff that you've hoarded, saved, and held on to for so long. And anything you see that you like, put it in a pile. Don't worry about going through and cutting it out specifically. Just start by collecting and amassing text, colors, patterns, different shapes, things you can cut out, things you can use as is. It doesn't matter what it is. If you like it, put it aside. Okay? Maybe there's something special in the shape. Maybe it's the way something moves and flows across the page and you just don't know what you're going to do with it. You just know that you like it. Set it aside, put it in your pile, and go from there. So once I've collected all of this stuff, and one thing that I usually do try to do is I try to keep my focal images separate from my background papers just because it works best for me. But what I like to do is once I've gleaned all of this material, I start sorting through, and I will only work from this one bag. And I start flipping through and I'm looking for anything that catches my eye that I feel resonates with me in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to use what I'm drawn towards today and put what I don't want to the side. So I'm going to just start kind of sorting through, and I'm looking for, like I said before, it's anything that kind of clicks within. And I might just start by going through and pulling out just like maybe 5 or 6 images. And these are the images that I'm going to pick and use for my first few pages. And then I'll do the same thing with my background papers. I'll start going through and I'll pull out maybe like a half a dozen pieces of background paper. And it's the same thing. I go through and maybe, excuse me, it's the line, maybe it's the chairs, maybe it's the ladders, maybe it's that blue paint spot on the wall that I'm drawn towards. I don't know. But I'm going to set these few things aside that I feel like working with, and this is what I'm going to use to go to create my first page. Now, this first video, what I'm doing is I just want you to go through your regular stash of materials, anything that you would use on an everyday collage art journal making basis, and pick that stuff. I'm going to do a separate video in a minute on picking work from your artist, and we'll go from there. Thanks.